What is up, guys? I'm Andrew Erickson, back again, aka The Props Prophet. I'm coming at you with my favorite player props for NFL Week 14. Before we build that bankroll, we want a chance to win a premium one-year subscription to Betting Pros. Your place to start betting smarter and not harder. All you have to do is subscribe to Betting Pros YouTube channel right now, comment below this video, and that is it. I'm announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Now, let's get to the best player props on my card for NFL Week 14. Starting off with course, talked about him earlier in the week on the Prize Picks video, Josh Jacobs under 76.5 rushing yards. Look, it's a tough rushing matchup for the Las Vegas Raiders. I love targeting in Week 14. The Vikings have allowed just one running back to rush for 70-plus yards against them this season. And that happened all the way back in Week 2. So Josh Jacobs, I'm taking the easy under here on his rushing yards prop. 76.5 on FanDuel, 71.5, 72.5 at some of the other books. Either way, I love the under as long as it's under 70 yards. I think the Raiders are going to continue to ride Jacobs into that Vikings brick wall defense. So, but it doesn't matter. Like, they're going to go under the yardage prop for sure. Next prop here, Kyren Williams over 15.5 rushing attempts, taking on the Ravens on the road. Look, this Baltimore game is projecting for bad weather this weekend, and that means we could see more carries for running back Kyren Williams if the Rams can't find success throwing the football in bad weather. Look, the carries line is set at 15.5. That's a number Williams has skyrocketed past in his last two starts since he returned from injured reserve. So I really like that matchup for Kyren Williams. Next up here, Roshan Johnson, Bears running back, over 14.5 rushing yards. This number is just simply too low. When you look at it, he's gone over this number in 8 of his 10 games played this season. Look, before the bye week, Johnson was the RB1 in the Chicago Bears backfield, dominated the touches and snaps over Khalil Herbert with D'Onta Foreman active. He played 74% of the snaps to Herbert's 21%. He ran 3 times the amount of routes versus the veteran. So even if he's not necessarily the leading ball carrier with D'Onta Foreman back, Johnson's going to be playing on the field. He's going to be seeing snaps because of how good he is in pass protection. So that could open up draw plays where he can pick up easy yard on 3rd and long. So I just think the number here is just way too low for Roshan because he's going to be playing a significant amount of snaps in this game, even with D'Onta Foreman back. He's clearly ahead of Roshan, and I don't think they just immediately go back to D'Onta Foreman, who's been dealing with an injury. They want to play their rookie more. Roshan Johnson, we see this all the time with rookies, post-rookie buy bump in terms of usage. I think that continues in this matchup. 14.5 yards, child please. He averaged 5 yards per carry, and he got 30 rushing yards the last time he faced the Lions just a few weeks ago. Same matchup, other side of the field. Jahmyr Gibbs, over 25.5 receiving yards. I talked about this on the prediction show earlier in the Fantasy Pros podcast this week. Gibbs over on his receiving yardage props because the Chicago Bears cannot stop running backs in the passing game. I know that the backfield is still split between him and David Montgomery, and Gibbs wasn't really heavily targeted last week. He only saw 2 targets in the game, but it was a positive game script. They didn't need to rely on him trying to play catch-up. I think that in a game where myself, Joe Pisapia, we both like the Bears in terms of the money line, Bears plus 3.5. This game's going to be a little bit more back and forth with the lines playing on the road. So I think that means they're going to need to use Gibbs a little bit more if they're not just running away with the game. Again, how bad are the Bears against running backs in the passing game? They've allowed the most receiving yards per game to running backs, and Gibbs went 6 for 59 the last time he faced the Bears through the air. Also, the potential bad weather. This is a game that's going to be more cold than necessarily with rain, but still, Jared Goff, his small hands, maybe he's a little bit more gun happy to get rid of the ball quickly, and he gets the ball to Gibbs out on these short dump-off passes. So I like the Gibbs over. Same game, which I do like a lot. They're going to be entertaining, especially for DFS purposes. DJ Moore, over 68.5 receiving yards, minus 110 on BetMGM. Look, Moore has been an absolute stud with Justin Fields as quarterback this year. He's over 4.5 reception in his last 7 games with Justin Fields, so you can get that number a little bit juicier. He's also gone over 68.5 receiving yards in his last 4 games with Justin Fields at quarterback. And the Lions are just a dream matchup right now for wide receivers that Moore already beat just a few weeks ago to the tune of 7 catches, 96 yards, and 1 touchdown on 9 targets. Over the last 4 games, Detroit has allowed over 13.5 receptions and over 190 receiving yards per game to opposing wide receivers. Of the last 10 wide receiver ones that they have faced, and this is per the Betting Bros draft cheat sheet, or the prop draft cheat sheet, 9 have gone over their projected receiving yards, while 7 have gone over their receptions props. So very much like DJ Moore, especially also like his anytime touchdown odds as well. Lions ranked dead last in both red zone targets and red zone touches to wide receivers this season. Now, going to a player that I don't like that much this week, Juwan Johnson, under 2.5 receptions, -130 over at BetMGM. He was a total bust last week, goose egged on 3 targets, 0 in the second half, dead last in receiving EPA in week 13. He ran around on 61% of the dropbacks, played 57% of the snaps, but the production was still not there. It wasn't enough for Rashid Shaheed missing the game to boost his involvement. Now, we know Taysom Hill is questionable in this matchup as well, but still, I just hate the matchup for Juwan Johnson in week 14. The Panthers defense has been elite against tight ends, allowing the second fewest catches allowed to tight ends this season. Johnson has also gone over 2.5 receptions just 3 times in 8 games played this season. He only had 2 catches for 13 yards the last time he faced the Panthers earlier this season. I don't always bet unders, but when I do, it's against the fringe fantasy tight ends that will almost certainly let you down. Juwan Johnson is definitely that guy. Do not go chasing him if Taysom Hill is inactive, and get the under on his receptions props in week 14. One we can get excited about, a game that I love a lot, talked about it. I love the over in this game. Ja'Marr Chase, over 67.5 receiving yards. Look, Chase has played 2 starts with Jake Browning as the quarterback. He's gone over this number in both games. Averaged 9 targets in those games. He's coming off a 12-target game in week 13. And we know he's a candidate to rip off a massive gain on one play. I just love them. I love that about him versus the Colts. They're right near bottom of the league in terms of explosive plays allowed on defense. You look at the last 3 number 1 wide receivers the Colts have played, over 70 yards, all 3 of them. I think Chase can get over 67.5 easy. Maybe hits 100 in this matchup. Same matchup, different side of the ball. Zach Moss, over 71.5 rushing yards, over on FanDuel, -114. The Bengals rank 30th in run defense DVOA. They are a horrible run defense. And I know Zach Moss was disappointing last week against the Titans, but they're one of the best in terms of run defense and DVOA. The usage for Zach Moss, you just have to love. He had 51 yards last week on 19 carries. Again, 2.7 yards per carry. It's not great. It's not good. He had 3 targets, 2 catches, and 6 yards. But more importantly, he played 94% of the snaps. He had 9 touches in the red zone. No one could have seen better uses for Zach Moss. He just ran basically as cold as humanly possible. So I want to buy the discount with him in this great matchup. The Bengals have allowed 99 yards to Najee Harris, and they allowed 150 yards to Devin Singletary at different points this year. This run defense is bad, so look for Moss, who has 70 rushing yards in all of his starts outside of last week, to post a huge rushing total in week 14 as he gets absolutely fed with carries in a plus matchup. Same team, Colts, Josh Downs, over 41.5 receiving yards. The Bengals, along with being one of the worst run defenses, have been one of the worst defenses against tight ends this season, specifically versus tight ends in the slot. Now, the Colts don't have one tight end they use specifically. They actually use 4 different guys. But I think that we're going to get an overlap for the inside plus matchup for the Colts slot receiver, who is Josh Downs. He had 5 targets in week 13, but he only had 3 catches for 14 yards. But still, he ran a route on 79% of the dropbacks. And just last week, in that Jacksonville matchup against the Bengals defense, we saw Christian Kirk and rookie backup Parker Washington post strong numbers against the Bengals secondary as the Jaguars' primary slot receivers. The last 9 most comparable wide receivers to Downs that have faced the Bengals, this is per the prop bet cheat sheet on bettingpros.com, they have all gone over their receiving yards prop while amassing at least 58 receiving yards or more. So I think Josh Downs here at 41.5, it's too low. I think he's going to have a big game. Next up, Javonte Williams, over 2.5 receptions. I like parlaying this one because it is a little bit juicy, but I just think it's more one of these locks that you can pair with another another prop for a bigger payout. Chargers have been really bad against defending running backs in the passing game, ranking 30th in pass defense DVOA against running backs. So I want to back Javonte Williams to have a productive game, both as a rusher and receiver. If you look at Williams and how involved he is in the passing game. Now, Samaje Perine operates on 3rd downs, but Williams still gets enough on early downs, and how pass happy and how check down happy Russell Wilson is, he catches a lot of passes. Williams has caught at least 3 passes in 5 of his last 6 games, and every running back that has faced the Chargers has gone over their receptions prop this season. Same game, looking at the Chargers offense, Gerald, Everett, over 20.5 receiving yards. Everett had 44 yards on 5 targets, a 14% target share last week, but he commanded a team-high 4 targets in the first half. He continues to see underwhelming usage with the other tight ends like Donald Parham, but at least he gets targeted on semi-consistent basis. And I just love the matchup against the Broncos. Number 32 ranked defense versus tight ends. The last 9 tight ends they have faced have gone for at least 30 yards. Everett has gone over 40 yards in back-to-back games. I think he continues to roll here with his 3rd straight game, over 40 yards, putting him over his 29.5 receiving yards prop. Tight end props, absolutely love. We're going to keep it rolling here. Cade Otton, over 23.5 receiving yards. Look, Otton only had 1 target last week, and it was taken away due to offensive PI. But he still played 98% of the snaps. He ran a route on 30 of 32 Baker Mayfield dropbacks. So I want to buy the dip against the Falcons defense, who has been horrible against tight ends, allowing the 6th most receiving yards to tight ends this season, 59 per game, and the 4th most receptions to tight ends. And if you look before last week, Otton was over 27 yards in 5 of his last 6 games. And in this very same matchup, he caught 5 balls for 43 yards when he played the Falcons earlier this year. So I very much like the over on his receiving yards, receptions. I also like his chances to score. Again, the amount of yardage and catches the Falcons are allowing does not match how many touchdowns they've allowed, which is only 3. So I think we could see some regression hit sooner rather than later. Maybe Cade Otton has a big game. Going ahead to Monday Night Football, part of the doubleheader, Saquon Barkley over 15.5 rushing attempts. Look, the offensive game plan for the Giants has to be Saquon Barkley. The Packers own the 4th highest run rate faced this season. Teams are going out of their way to run the football on the Green Bay Packers and the Giants, putting Tommy DeVito at quarterback. I think it makes really sense in the world for Saquon Barkley to just get absolutely fed in this matchup. So looking at the projections, 17.2 rushing attempts over and out for Saquon Barkley on Monday Night Football. Different game on Monday night, Tua Tagovailoa under 32.5 passing attempts. So he's actually gone under in his last 2 games and 7 of 12 games played this season. The Titans, despite how bad they've been against the pass, they don't really face that much volume against the pass. The Titans have faced the 3rd highest run rate on the road this season, and they're going to be out without starting defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons. So I think that the Dolphins could actually run a little bit more in this spot. You're looking at the last 10 quarterbacks the Titans have faced. 7 have gone under 32.5 passing attempts. Only 2 quarterbacks they've faced all year have gone over 32 pass attempts, for the Titans. So again, and that one of them happened last week, and that game went into overtime between the Colts and the Titans. So I think we could see more of a running game from the Miami Dolphins and what could be another blowout game in South Beach. So I'm going to take the under on Tua Tagovailoa and his passing attempts at 32.5. Last but not least, been fading him all week. We'll see how it pans out. Derrick Henry under 14.5 rushing attempts. Look, Derrick Henry's played only 2 games on the road this season where he's seen at least 15 or more carries. Happened in week 1 and back in week 9. And these are the only games on the road where he's exceeded 45 rushing yards. The Titans, we know, have a bad offensive line. It doesn't travel well. Again, this is why we back the Titans at home and we fade them on the road. And you look at the Titans, the last 8 road games they've played have all gone under the projected points total. The Dolphins defense is going to present major issues for Derrick Henry. Miami is the number 3 best defense versus fantasy running backs over the last 4 games. They're allowing the 2nd lowest explosive run rate at 5.8%, tied with the Vikings for allowing the fewest rushes over 10 yards. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively. They're going to fall behind in this game, and Derrick Henry's going to go under 14.5 rushing attempts. And that's going to tie a bow on my favorite player props for NFL Week 14. Again, guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. And again, be sure to check me out over on the Betting Pros app where you can follow all my picks. You can check them all out. You can tail them. You can fade them. You can never do what you feel is right. But again, before you go, if you want a chance to win a premium 1-year subscription to Betting Pros, your place to start betting smarter and not harder. All you have to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now, comment below this video, and that is it. I'm announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Thanks for watching, and good luck in Week 14.